de Michoacán, Guanajuato, Oaxaca, Nayarit, Guerrero y Yucatán. Y, considerando el alto número de elementos que componen esta festividad, el Día de Muertos ha dado paso a una arquitectura simbólica y ritual que se expresa en una cantidad infinita de obras de arte, artesanías y obras de arte efímeras, dando al mundo obras de valor singular, como la producción de José Guadalupe Posada, creador de la Catrina, popularizada eventualmente por el arte de Diego Rivera. Y, considerando los altares, son construidos para recibir a los seres queridos, familiares y amigos. Los altares incluyen una imagen del difunto, flores de caléndula o cempasúchil, flor de amor, que representan la fragilidad de la vida, velas de diferentes colores, amarillo, que representa la fuerza de la vida, púrpura, que representa el duelo cristiano, blanco, que representa la luz, inocencia y pureza, y negro, refiriéndose a la religión prehispánica, Atlitlán, el lugar de la oscuridad, y Mictlán, el lugar de los muertos. Otro elemento importante para el altar es el pan de muerto, que según el INA, Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia de México, este pan dulce tiene raíces coloniales, inspiradas en rituales prehispánicos. Tiene forma redonda, representando un cráneo. Las 4 canillas son los huesos humanos y las lágrimas de los seres queridos que aún están vivos. Se colocan como una cruz, representando los 4 puntos cardinales, honrando a diferentes dioses, Quetzalcóatl, Tlaloc, Xipetotec y Tezcatlipoca. El sabor de anís se refiere a los recuerdos del difunto. Este tiempo de celebración invita a la reflexión y el recuerdo de los que ya no están con nosotros. Y, considerando, la comunidad mexicana en Portland está llena de vida, presente y vibrando de alegría, celebrando sus tradiciones. El Día de Muertos se entiende como otra etapa de la vida, en lugar de su finalización. Ahora, por lo tanto, yo, Ted Wheeler, alcalde de la ciudad de Portland, Oregon, por la presente proclamo que el día 1 y 2 de noviembre de 2019 serán alusivos al Día de Muertos en Portland y invito a todos a los residentes a observar estos días.
Gracias. Do any of my colleagues want to say anything? Commissioner Hardesty?
Thank you, Madam President. That does have a nice ring, Madam President. I say that quite a few times when possible. What a wonderful tradition when we honor our ancestors and center them and making sure that we don't forget the lessons that we learned from them, that our children actually remember that they have been influenced by the generations that have come before. I am so proud to be part of a city council that honors traditions that aren't necessarily traditions that we have been familiar with as people born in the U.S. and people with one language. But I am proud that I live in a city and I'm on a city council where we honor a host of traditions, and happy to be supporting this tradition today. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all.
Thank you very much to all of our speakers. Thank you, Maria Garcia, for your leadership in this. Thank you again to Yesenia Carrillo on my staff and Jordan Martin from the Mayor's office. Maria has organized an event in the atrium from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. this afternoon. The public is welcome in City Hall. So let's take a picture, please.
Bob, if you can, I'd still like you to do a First Amendment audit on Multnomah County Road Patrol. Go and drive, go down, check out the boathouses with the boats. Just your standard, what you do. So if you get some time, I'd appreciate it. If not, it's all good too.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
I was thinking about doing an audit on the Mexican embassy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, the thing is, the sidewalk outside
Yeah.
is public property.
Right.
So filming in, I'm not sure what Mexico's thing is, but I'm sure it could get hot.
It could get interesting there, yeah, because it's not like here on how they might deal with it.
Right, that's pretty much exactly their
Or
question.
you're talking going all the way to Mexico, right? Is that what you meant?
No, I'm talking about the embassy here,
Where is that located?
12th and Jefferson.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, you would fall under our law, so I don't see any problem. You can film anything from a public sidewalk that you can visually see with your camera.
Right.
So they can close their windows.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I'm pleased to introduce this next item. Today we will be voting towards $631,321 for Cycle 2 of the Cannabis Social Equity Grant Program. We'll hear from staff, the Cannabis Office, as well as some of our community partners who have been recommended to receive funding. Before we begin, however, I'd like to take a second to
We're gonna
recognize
give the cannabis
Brandon.
a grant.
Last time before half of the council in his current capacity. He's recently accepted a position at Metro. Brandon, I want to thank you for your steady leadership over the past 4 years and congratulate you on your new adventure. Cannabis policy is largely uncharted territory for local government, but you've risen to the challenge and we appreciate all that you have contributed. With that, I'd like to welcome Brandon Goldner, Kimmy Iuka, and Jeanette Ward Horton to the table.
Madam President. I know, we get mixed up all the time. I was gonna say, can't we pass a resolution to prevent Brandon from actually going to Metro?
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm excited and also sad. This work has been incredible and difficult and super meaningful, and thank you all for your support in that, and for my colleagues too. So as you know, my name is Brandon. I supervise City of Portland's cannabis program. I'm here to talk today, just briefly before getting it over to our policy coordinator, Kimmy Iuka, to talk a little bit about the social equity grants program and give a brief overview of year one of that program. So if we can begin the first slide. So the Cannabis Social Equity Grants, it's a tool for restorative justice, community reinvestment, wealth creation in communities that were impacted by cannabis prohibition, specifically Black and Brown Americans in America, from law enforcement to the judicial system through the laws that were made. Cannabis prohibition disproportionately impacted those people and those families. And in my view, the city has an obligation to do what it can to repair some of that harm. And the Cannabis Social Equity Grants is a small step in that direction. And so that is why we are here today. The Cannabis Social Equity Grants also align to the City of Portland's comprehensive plan when we talk about economic prosperity and equity and resilience. And it also aligns with the Bureau's 5-year racial equity plan and the citywide racial equity goals. So again, the entire City of Portland, all of you commissioners, folks who live here, our staff, our community understand the importance of this work. With that, talking a little bit about the first year of the Cannabis Social Equity Grants, and just for some context, Portland voters passed a ballot measure in 2016 that authorized a 3% local tax on recreational cannabis sales. The authorized uses of that revenue were threefold, as summarized in these bullets: for drug and alcohol education and treatment, for public safety investments, and then for support for small businesses, especially women-owned and minority-owned businesses, that language in the ballot measure, and economic opportunity and education to communities disproportionately impacted by cannabis prohibition. And I do want to say thank you to Commissioner Fritz, whose efforts it was that bullet point got into the ballot measure. And again, we all understand how important that is. Some background on year one of the grants. And to be clear, that the first year of those grants were facilitated by OMF's grants office and by Prosper Portland. Now that we're going to be talking about year two in just a moment, that's being facilitated by Civic Life, but the first year was not. There was a community survey that was done to identify priority areas for reinvestment of that cannabis tax revenue as convened by Commissioner Fritz and Commissioner Udaley's office. And there was a steering committee that got together to decide, okay, so that third bullet point, the community reinvestment, the social equity efforts, what specific types of programs and efforts should that tax revenue fund? So the result of those processes, on the next slide, oh, you have it there, thank you, were 3 priority areas: expungement and record clearing, workforce development, and small business development and technical support. And there again, you see that a portion of that money was managed by the grants office and a portion of that money was managed by Prosper Portland. So the selection process for that portion of the money that was managed by the grants office, that $350K for the expungement and record clearing and workforce development, I'm going to talk briefly about that because it's that portion of the revenue that most closely reflects what we're calling year 2 of the cannabis social equity grants that we are here to discuss today, authorizing. The process there, we had 9 applicants in that first year. The selection committee recommended 3 projects for funding, and those projects were approved by council in August of 2018. Metropolitan Public Defender for the record clearing and expungement portion received $154,000. Green Hop is a cannabis retailer that has a Green Hop Academy with cannabis-specific workforce program. They received $95,000, and then POIC and Rosemary Anderson High School received $100,000 for their construction pre-apprenticeship program. Now, all 3 of those organizations have representatives here today. They're going to come up and speak a little bit about their efforts. And so they'll be up here in just a moment. For that first year outcomes, all of those projects are on track to meet the outcomes that were identified in the grant agreements, and more than 800 Portlanders have received services as a direct result of those cannabis social equity grants. And I do want to make mention that in year 2 of the grants, there is very specific language that talks about aggregate data and analyses of demographic information so that in year 2, we know exactly who we are helping with this funding because that's critical. Yes, we want to do good, we want to allocate funding for that purpose, but I believe we really need to know exactly who it is that we're helping. So in year 2, that is baked into the grant agreement and is a requirement. So I just wanted to make that point as clear as I could. With that ends my portion on the first year of the grants, and so now I'm going to kick it over to my colleague, Kime Wayoka, to talk about year 2. And one more brief thing, and she didn't want me to do this. I do want to say publicly, Kime has been doing heroic work with this. It is difficult, it's unprecedented. This stuff is new for our bureau, it's new for the city, it's new around the country. And Kime has a level of professionalism and patience and creativity that I wish I had, and I really appreciate her work with this. So with that, I'm giving it over to Kime to talk about year 2.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Kime Wayoka, and I'm the policy coordinator for the city's cannabis program. Forgive me, I'm a little nervous. This is my first time here.
I know, we're pretty scary looking.
Oh, I think it's the table. As Brandon said, our bureau took over administering this grant fund this year for year 2, and it is, needless to say, it has been exciting. Not only did we have a best timeline that we were aiming for, we also received 3 times the number of applications for the funding as they had in year 1. It threw a bit of a wrench into our planned timeline, but we're here, yay! Upon the recommendation from our grant review panel, we are here today to propose 6 projects to be funded by the city in year 2. This graphic shows the activities of the year 2 grant making on the timeline. One thing to note that because
My dad's gonna
it was
flip.
really important for us in year 2 to get this grant aligned with the city's fiscal year. Therefore, it was decided that we would announce this grant as an 8 to 10 month funding cycle in order to align with the city's overall fiscal year timeline. With your approval today, we will be on track for a 9-month funding cycle for year 2. So we started off with a listening session in April. It was a great opportunity for us to introduce ourselves to some of the organizations that are doing the work in these priority funding areas, and begin to start to build some community and connections around this work. We threw a pretty broad net out in invitations, and 20 individuals representing 15 different community organizations participated in that listening session and helped us to shape the funding announcement.